back. They said, you almost wonder now if Edmonton had challenged that kind of a goal in game 2, would it have gone the other way?
Yeah, that would have, well, yeah, we had talked about it after game 1. If that's going to be the standard, you've kind of got to stay consistent with it.
Like, I understand why Bennett would have been confused about that one, Kyle, because he says that in his mind, that's the exact same thing that happened in game 1. But if you're going to protect the goalies, I don't like the inconsistency, but Kyle, I'll allow it. The other thing I thought was interesting was clearly Edmonton did not like, Kevin showed this in game 1. Florida was brilliant at manipulating timeouts and icings to get more rest. The referees were on top of them. Mikkola tried it once. He went to the bench on an icing, and Chris Rooney was right there and pulled him off the bench. He's like, not tonight. That's not happening on my watch. Get right back out there right now. Look, in overtime, it's no autopsy, no foul out there. The penalty in game 1, you had to call it. I thought Arvidsson was really angry when Ekblad got hurt by the shot and Edmonton got a chance. Arvidsson was furious. He felt it was too many men. That's the one Florida got away with in this game. Now, it was funny. Florida got so many penalties in the first period that someone from one of the teams the Panthers beat earlier in the playoffs sent me a text and said, oh, now they're calling penalties against the Panthers? And I'm sure the Panthers were sitting there saying, what is going on tonight? But in overtime, the one I thought they got away with, or anybody really got away with, was that. That was a pretty obvious too many men. And that's one like puck over glass that you could make pretty easily. But they didn't call it, and that's the way it goes. 1-1 series, great games, great hockey, 2 worthy finalists, legit champions. We'll see where we go.
I don't know if I'd ever seen before when Edmonton tried their hand at the icing shenanigans in overtime and sending guys to the bench. Chris Rooney going over to Chris Knobloch with the sheet of paper with the numbers written on it of the guys that were on the ice because they had to go back and check. Remember when they weren't sure if Schmidt had got a piece of it? And Rooney skating across to the Edmonton bench with a sheet of paper going, these are the players that need to be returned to the ice. I don't think I'd ever recalled seeing that before. But yeah, it's been so good to watch. And I mean, one thing for Edmonton as it shifts to Florida, like they've shown they can, as you say, neither goalies put their stamp on a game here yet. They've shown out of the gate that they can beat Sergei Bobrovsky enough to win games. But of course, circumstances do change now in a new venue and Florida having last change. Anything else you want to add on this game here before we move on to other news around the league? Anything interesting you heard at the game on Friday?
Why, yes, there was something interesting I heard at the game on Friday, Kyle. I have to tell you, one of the things that's being rumored around here is that Trent Frederick might be sticking around.
Really? Like new contracts sticking around?
Like not leaving, sticking around, yes.
Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, I can't imagine we're going to find out during the final. They've got more important things to worry about. But that was something I heard in and around the building tonight.
All right, very good. And as the playoffs has gone on, I mean, he's looked more and more comfortable in Edmonton colors. And you can see why they targeted him at the deadline.
And a good teammate.
All right, Elliot, let's get to some other news from around the league. On Friday, the Dallas Stars announced they have fired their head coach, Pete DeBoer, who had 1 year left on his deal. I imagine this was something that no one within the organization could have seen coming after they dispatched the Winnipeg Jets in round number 2. And now, after the way their season ended against Edmonton, the comments after their season ended against Edmonton, maybe it's not so much of a surprise in your mind, Elliot. How did the Stars, Jim Nill, get to this decision?
Jim Nill is nothing if not thoroughly pragmatic. He thinks things through. He doesn't act rashly. If you look at his history as a GM, he's in no hurry to fire coaches. I think you nailed it in your preamble there, Kyle. If you would have said when they beat Colorado and Winnipeg that this is where we would have been, nobody would have believed it. And I think that's one of the reasons it took a few extra days to get here, because I think the Stars organization as a whole was in shock of how this all unfolded. After those two very impressive wins, how badly they got clobbered by the Oilers, number one, and number two, what happened with Ottinger both during and after the game, and how that unfolded in the days after. I do believe, and hey, Tom Ghilardi, the owner of the Stars, did an interview in the Dallas Morning News where he said it's crazy, basically, that people are suggesting that Peter DeBoer could be in trouble. We plan on having him back as the coach next year. And I believe that when he said that, he was 100% being honest. Like, that wasn't cover. That wasn't him trying to throw people in the wrong direction. It wasn't smoke bombs. It wasn't anything like that. It was how he felt in the moment. But the exit interviews, and we talked about this on our pod earlier this week, the exit interviews changed all that, Kyle. It became pretty apparent that the relationship between DeBoer and the players was broken because of how they felt Ottinger was treated. And again, I don't think it's only about what was said after the game. It was how Ottinger was pulled. Not that he was pulled, but how Ottinger was pulled. And that, combined with the comments, it became pretty clear that the relationship was broken. You know, here's the thing about Peter DeBoer. He can be really tough. Most coaches are. He can be really tough. He's got a really hard reputation on goalies, which spilled out into the public forum. But one of the things he has generally tried to do is keep that behind closed doors. Like, even if some of the goalies like Marc-Andre Fleury or Robin Lehner weren't happy with him, DeBoer tended not to take that public. He preferred to keep it private. And some other players pointed out how even when he's been upset at them, not goalies, but them as skaters, he doesn't do it publicly. And they felt that the fact that DeBoer said what he said, it was so out of character for him publicly that they think it indicated, A, how much shock he was in about how the Edmonton series went, but also some of them wondered if it was DeBoer's way of saying that my run here might be done, that it might be better. And Peter